8 years ago. Like, what more do people need to do? You know, like, Jesus, talk about being late. Talk about being late to the party. So I was a little slow on the uptake there. My apologies. But I think about it a fair bit. But I do at this point think Bitcoin is a good thing. So I am a supporter of Bitcoin. Like I said, I'm late to the party, but I'm a supporter of Bitcoin. And I think Bitcoin is really on the verge of getting broad acceptance by sort of the conventional finance people, you know. So, yeah, I think so. You know, I don't have a strong opinion on other cryptocurrencies. I mean, occasionally I make jokes about Dogecoin, but they are really just meant to be jokes. But Dogecoin was made as a joke to make fun of cryptocurrencies, obviously. But fate loves irony, and often, as a friend of mine says, the most ironic outcome is most likely, or as I like to say, the most entertaining outcome is often most likely, and arguably the most entertaining outcome and the most ironic outcome would be that Dogecoin becomes the currency of Earth in the future.
Oh my God. Elon, when you tweeted me this afternoon, I will say my tweet replies have been overwhelmed by probably like a zillion different like cryptocurrency coins. But yeah, and by the way, you might remember the infamous time when your replies were filled with cryptocurrency bots on Twitter.
Oh my God, so, it was insane. Yeah.
That was actually how Elon and I actually wound up meeting, because that was a very painful time.
Okay. Yeah. In fact, and then I made a joke about Bitcoin, and my account got locked.
Yeah. I had to actually try and convince some folks that was actually the real Elon Musk trying to get his account unblocked. Okay. So I want to bring us back to one of your companies. We actually have a Tesla Model S sitting outside our house right now. It carries us and our 2-year-old baby around, and we love it. Would love to just get your take on, where you see, you just have a refresh of the Model S coming out. I just saw the review for it. Where do you just see, the future for Tesla, and especially when it comes to all things battery technology and self-driving? Those two topics I think a lot of people are very interested in.
Okay, so you're asking about the future of batteries and self-driving?
More like actually, where do you see Tesla over the next few years?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that. The goal with Tesla is to, and has been from the beginning, is to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. So, in order to do that, we've got to make a lot of cars. We've got to make them increasingly affordable, and our rough target is we want to be able to eventually make 20 million cars a year. And the reason for that is the 2 billion active cars and trucks on the road, and figure you're not really moving the needle unless you're changing 1% of the existing fleet. And so that's roughly how we came up with 20 million cars and trucks per year. That's very important to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. And then, of course, we've got stationary battery packs and solar, which is make a lot of progress on that front. So yeah, we're going to try to grow car production as fast as possible, and that the primary limiting factor there is battery cell production. So we're getting as much as possible from suppliers, and then but even that is not enough. So we're actually going to be building battery cells ourselves. But it's important to emphasize that to our suppliers who are great, we've got great suppliers, that we're not trying to put them out of business. We want them to increase their rate as well. So Panasonic, LG, and CATL, and then but if to add, to increase to accelerate sustainable energy further, we're making our own cells, and pretty excited about that. And then, anyway, so I think you expect, possibly an acceleration of compounding annual growth. Well, at least aspirationally, that's our goal. And then combine that with autonomy, and it's a very powerful story because once you have autonomy or self-driving cars, you massively increase the utility of any given car. A typical car is driven about 12 hours a week. You think of maybe depending on the situation, where you live, it's like maybe an hour and a half a day or something like that. Or in LA, it might be 2 hours a day. So roughly 12 hours a week. And there's 168 hours in a week, in a 7-day week. So most likely cars that are autonomous could maybe do a third of the hours in the week or something like that. So maybe they do, 60 hours a week of usage instead of 12. So you got basically a 5x increase in asset utilization there, and far less need for parking lots, parking garages, and that kind of thing. So, and this in itself is good for the environment because you need fewer cars to get the same thing done. And we would need fewer parking garages and places just to keep cars when they're not in use, because they'd just be in use a lot more. So, but the net of like having a lot of cars times automation or times self-driving, I think, is at the heart of why a lot of investors think Tesla is worth what it is. They're giving us a lot of credit for future execution, but I think the trend is there is quite positive. And I'd like to once again say, if anyone is interested in practical AI, AI that where the rubber hits the road, please join Tesla's autopilot/AI team. I think people don't quite appreciate that Tesla has some of the most advanced AI in the world, both on the software side and on the hardware side. And on the software, on the hardware side, we've obviously got our inference computer, which I think is still the best inference computer out there, even though it's been going for a couple of years. And then we're building Dojo, which will be the world's most powerful training computer, because it's going to process vast amounts of video training data, and bringing the day of self-driving sooner translates directly to lives saved and injuries avoided. Because about 1 million people die every year in car accidents, and about 10 million per year have serious injuries. So that's the sooner the better, and a lot of lives will be saved, and people's lives made better if it happens sooner.
Elon, on self-driving, you made headlines, I think, a while back when you basically, to put it mildly, criticized LiDAR as a key technology for self-driving. Could you talk more about that and why, you're not such a huge fan of LiDAR?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm just talking smack,
No, we didn't know that.
Yep, it's time you knew.
We took those tweets seriously.
I confess. First of all, I'm not like fundamentally against LiDAR on all things, because for the SpaceX Dragon that docks with the space station, we actually developed and built our own LiDAR for docking with the space station. So obviously, if I hated LiDAR, we would not have done that. And this is well before. This is like 10 years ago we started doing that. So I don't have some sort of weird antagonism to LiDAR. However, for driving on real world roads, you have to solve vision. You have to solve vision, basically understanding objects with passive optical photons, and then making sense of those objects. So like vision, perception. What do those objects mean? What are they going to do? What is the likely path of travel? And then control. and all of that really is is AI. The way we're doing it is by running a bunch of neural nets in our head. So we got to run a bunch of neural nets to do the same thing in the car. And the point at which you feel passive obstacle, and this is better passive obstacle than a human has, because you've got 8 cameras, 3 of which point directly forward, and 2 that are diagonally rear, and 1 rear. So the way we do it right now is we have all 8 cameras synchronized with, so you've got 8 frames collected simultaneously, and we're moving towards, and have in fact mostly moved towards video training. So you've got 8 surround cameras. It's like kind of a surreal thing to see, because people look, really. People have 2 eyes, but kind of like really more like 1 eye, because the 2 eyes kind of combine. But anyway, the neural net is basically it needs to move to full video training, video inference, surround video training, surround video inference, and then it will be superhuman, no question about it. There's just because people don't have eyes in the back of their head, like they can't. You basically have effectively a human, for all intents and purposes, it's like having 1 camera on a slow gimbal, and that is often distracted, and